think at this point, Wike has become a household name. Basically, every Nigerian that didn't know Governor Wike of Rivers State before by now should know him. And then I know in weeks back you have said that Wike is not going to leave the PDP, but he's going to maybe cause havoc
and
for
that is
the
exactly
PDP
what
while being a member of the PDP. And then we sense that now because Governor Sanwo-Olu is an APC
man, and
we see Wike endorsing him while dumping his own
party within the state. So it means, just like we have said it before, Wike will not leave PDP. This thing, it has a kind of a precedent that has been set. And we're now seeing a repetition of that. If you will recall, in 2014 to 2015, what led to the PDP defeat in the national level, it was as a result of some members of the party pulling out of the party to join APC. And if you look at it, some of them remain within the PDP only to cause the diminishing of... You understand? They are like moles that caused the defeat of PDP. And that is exactly what Wike is trying to do this time around. If you don't find me good for the running mates of our presidential candidate, then all along for the past 4 years, I have been the person financing the party. Then all this I did it for in vain. Now, I'm not going to leave the party. He has said it repeatedly that, look, I'm not going to leave the party, but I will stay and fight for equity. Whether we like it or not, depending on how we see it, to him, he believed that he's fighting for equity. And if you must give him that credit for that, because he said it that, look, the presidential candidate of the party cannot come from the north, and the chairman of the party too cannot come from the same region. So we must take the chairman of the party, of which the National Working Committee, some members of the National Working Committee and the Board of Trustees and all arms of the party, they said, look, instead of that, they now pass vote of confidence on Ayu, and which creates room for the crisis to linger. And
Ayu was constitutionally elected. He wasn't appointed. So does it really make
there is something that is known as doctrine of necessity, whether we like it or not. Because if you look at whatever thing that Wike is doing today, he keep on giving reasons for it. And one of the reasons that he gave, he said, look, Ayu himself made a gentleman commitment that, look, after the primary election, if the party presidential candidate comes from the north, I will resign on his own. Or he will step down on his own. So now they are talking about the law. But the gentleman agreement is what they refuse to abide with, and that is why you now see. You understand? So and Wike now is now trying to remain within the party, and in fact, if you look at it very well, the opposition to PDP, APC, Labour Party, they are not even doing what Wike is doing. You understand? For instance, days ago, precisely on Saturday, when Atiku made a controversial statement in Kaduna, Wike now came out days after that and said that, look, PDP owes Nigerians apology for that. And that is what APC or Labour Party is supposed to have done. That is a statement that's supposed to come from Labour Party or APC.
But that's expected.
Yes, and now he's now coming from Wike, a member of the party. So Wike will remain within the party and make sure that he weakens the party or expose the party so that Nigerians will reject the party, and that is exactly what he's doing. Whether he's going to succeed, we don't know.
Well, he's getting there.
Yes.
Moving on to other issues such as the flooding now. Bayelsa State is appealing to the government to come to their aid because a lot has happened basically due to these floods. A lot of people have been displaced from their homes, and then the health hazards is an issue that was recently brought up. I heard it was like a documentary that I watched. Apparently, a family living close to a cemetery, the flood is now washing away some of these bodies and caskets and things like that. And then these things mixing up with the environment where people are living. The water below coming from the ground. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's something that the government needs to take up as a priority. What are your thoughts, though?
Well, it's just unfortunate that this thing happened. It happened before in 2012. The same flood the same magnitude of flood that happened in 2012 is what is happening now. That is a decade after. And a decade is enough for a government of any serious government to put into ahead. So, but in this case now, we did not prepare ahead, and it happened again. Well, it's really sad. It's unfortunate that at the end of the day, no, the government inaction and the maladministration that we are dealing with, at the end of the day, the people that bear the brunt are Nigerians. And that is exactly what is happening in this case now. You could see that state all the way from Benue, Kogi, Anambra, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers are now bearing the brunt of this flooding issue. And where the problem, where we now see the difference is how the state government now react. You discover that some state government decide to leave their citizens and they are suffering just like that. You could see like Nyesom Wike of Rivers now gave out a 1 billion to, and you could see that it's just one or two local government that are even affected and not like that, compared to a state like Bayelsa, whereby the whole, almost all the state are being submerged by this flood. Likewise, in Anambra, people are suffering too. The same thing too in Kogi too, and even in Abuja, people are bearing the brunt of the flood in Kogi, because the road that the tankers that are supposed to lead to bring fuel to Abuja is being submerged. So it's really sad. Well, the aspect that I will look at is the aspect of emergency. It seems as if Nigeria has not really gotten it right in to come up with an emergency policy, whereby to say, okay, in the case of an emergency, this is how to tackle the problem. We have not really succeeded in that. Right from the 90s till now, there was a time that there was the fire incident in Abuja. Government has to rely on fire service from Julius Berger. It means that we have not really have a kind of an emergency situation because of corruption. At the end of the day, you don't discover that Ministry of Humanitarian and Emergency Situation, they will not come up with a kind of a trump-up, cooked-up estimate that, look, they have spent so amount of money. When you look at it to like this issue of this school feeding program, a lot of accusations here and there. The same thing will happen this time around. You hear from them that they have spent so amount of money to relief materials, food, and this to people, and people are crying. Take for instance, I saw it on Al Jazeera, whereby Al Jazeera now did a kind of documentary to interview these suffering people in a state like Anambra, in a community like Anambra, completely underwater, and they interviewed these people, and they are saying that, look, a family of 5 were being given 3 cups of rice. You understand? As an emergency
how do they
support.
survive?
How do they survive? These people are suffering. Go to just like the one you mentioned now, that you have environmental hazard, whereby the cemeteries are being washed and the dead bodies are now mixed with the water, and people are living within it. So it's really sad that, look, as a nation in 21st century, the government is not there for us. So how do you be proud of to say, look, I'm a proud Nigerian? How will you be proud of your country? On the normal day, the government is not there for you. In an emergency situation, the government is not there for you. How will you be proud?
How do you help yourself? Let's look at this from another angle. A certain monarch in Delta State has said that this is a genocide, basically, because the sources of this flooding, the water is Cameroon. And then this person has said that he labeled this a genocide, and then he has said the government should sue Cameroon. I mean, this is, should I say, the magnitude of this is actually a heavy one, because it's just as you have just explained, it has affected more than 3 states. It has affected a lot of lives, and then it has taken a huge toll on the country. Do you think, I mean, Cameroon should have informed, should I say, informed Nigeria sort of before taking this action, or probably alternative means to dispose of this excess water should have been put in place? What are your thoughts? Well,
it's if you look at Nigerian foreign policy trust, you could see that our main foreign policy trust now revolves within Africa, playing that big brother's role. And because of that, there are certain things that would not, certain action that we ought to have take, that will not take. Take for instance like the Bakassi issue. We try to resolve it through amicable this thing instead of descending to war. That big brother's role. Likewise in this case. Well, let me make a comparison between a scenario. you have this River Nile crisis, which is happening in East Africa down to North Africa. When Ethiopia wanted to dredge a dam where the water is coming from the River Nile, it becomes a problem between them and Egypt and Sudan. It means that there are certain actions that a nation will decide to take. If it has consequences on other nations, you put into consideration that. And in this case now, we are not seeing that from Cameroon. This is not the first time. This is the second time that we are seeing that. When the monarch is not coming out and calling on the federal government to sue Cameroon for the damages, well, I don't think anything good will come out from that action if government decide to sue Cameroon, because we know Nigeria. At the end of the day, Nigeria will now, our own government here now, they will not drag feet on it, and eventually the International Court of Justice will throw the case out.
Well, maybe it will have future effects in the sense that before Cameroon takes such action again,
no matter
I would think that
no matter the action that the Nigerian government decide to take, the only thing that I have seen so far is Nigeria government taking their own precautionary measures to make sure that next time that this Cameroon decide to release the volume of water from the dam in Lado, it's not cause that havoc. How do we do that? They can create their own sub dams below the River Benue. As they create those dams, you now discover that by the time Cameroon release the volume of water, instead of flooding directly down and follow the River Benue down to River Niger and downward, it will now kind of a buffer that it will stop. From there again, stop in another dam. At least the volume of the water that will flow down, it will reduce.
Balanced.
So, but if you look at it very well, I don't think when we decide to look at it, it will only criticize our own government. We cannot completely blame Cameroon, because this flood, as far as we try to look at it from a natural disaster, it's still man-made problem. Man-made problem without man-made solution, and that is why we continue to suffer it.
Thank you very much. Interesting conversation there.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us as well. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Aspheric TV on YouTube. Also follow us on all of our social media platforms. On Instagram and Twitter, we are Aspheric News, and on Facebook, we're official Aspheric News. You can also visit our website, www.asphericnews.com. My name is Dabelgit, and I've had Mr. Mustafa Abdullahi. Thanks for watching. Until next time.